Well, what you see me doing here is I'm unloading a power head for the 1962 75 horsepower Johnson. Uh, this is an extra power head we're probably going to use as a parts motor. It's got a lot of good parts on it. Or if the motor doesn't seem to be viable, we'll swap out the power head and change it out. So,
Well, we've got the extra power head for the 75 horse Johnson. It's a 1962. Same power head. Seems like it's in pretty good shape. The owner of this power head said that he had 80 to 90 pounds compression on each cylinder. And we're either going to use this as a parts motor or maybe swap it out with the original that's on this boat here. So anyway, stay tuned. We've got reeds coming for it as well, so I may just try to remove the reeds that are in here and try it on the other motor and see if that doesn't help. That might actually be solve our problem, but I'm not sure. I know it was hard starting. Could be an ignition issue still, but I'm thinking that maybe the distributor is in better shape. I'll take that off and take a look at it. So stay tuned. We're going to go through some things on this motor and probably rob parts off of it. We'll replace the power head itself and put this power head on that lower unit and swap them out. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I want to see if this engine will run first and run adequately. Then we can just use this as a parts motor. So stay tuned. I think I can see why now this timing was off. And when the rotor was supposed to be pointing at the number 1 cylinder, it was pointing down here at like number 3 or 4 down at this direction. So, and I think the reason that is because if you look down in there, that woodruff key has been sheared. So there's my problem. That's the timing. And if that's off, of course it's going to not fire at the proper time. So there's our problem. I'm pretty sure. I'm 98.9% sure that's most definitely the problem. You can see that this has been gouged. If you can see that, this woodruff key is completely sheared. I mean, it's somewhat intact, but it's been mutilated. And you can see that it's all been rounded here on this shaft on the distributor. Now, maybe we can take the old distributor off from the other engine and just swap it out. And that might be that's why our timing was way off. When I initially found this pulley, the pulley on here was actually loose. The nut was loose. I just torqued it down to the proper torque, but it was probably already spun, and I didn't notice it. And so I assumed it was in the right location, but it was loose, and that would cause it to shear. So there's our problem, folks. And I'm sure once I get this back, this other distributor in place, I think it'll probably start working. So we'll see. I mean, look at this pulley. You can see that woodruff key has just been completely mutilated in there. This whole distributor is garbage as far as I'm concerned. So we're gonna swap it out with the one from here. It's older, it's dirtier, but I think it's in much better shape, and we'll be able to just swap this whole distributor out and put it. I might use the cap. I may not. Since the cap and the rotor, the cap and the on this distributor on the old one is already there in place, and I can just swap it out. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, that's my game plan.
Okay, the new reeds came in, or new used reeds came in for the 75 horsepower Johnson. They don't look bad from the outside, but you know, I checked them all with a feeler gauge again, using a 10 thousandths thickness feeler gauge, and pretty much, you know, every pedal on here had 1 or 2 that just didn't meet the gauge requirement. And if 10 thousandths is the standard, get my hands out of the way. Oh, look at all that. Look at all that light coming through. I don't think those are any good. I mean,
even the manual says that some light can come through, but boy, I mean, you could drive a truck through some of those gaps. And I just don't think that these are going to be viable reeds to use. Now, maybe we take a look at the motor here and pull the reeds out of it. This is the extra power head that we purchased. This might have better reeds in it. Maybe it was running at the time. So we'll try pulling the reeds out of that probably and take a look at them before we decide what we're going to do. Well, I think these reeds look better. Let me see if I can get you in the picture here. I mean, these reeds look pretty good. Got some kind of scale on the outside of those. I don't know what that is. But they look cleaner to a certain extent. Nothing chipped or broken. So this reed plate might work somewhat better from this perspective. Well, a little bit of light comes through, but I'll have to use a feeler gauge. A couple of them look pretty gapped. But there might be some salvaged ones here. Maybe we could take the best of the best. See, I see light coming through on all four of those on the right side. But on the left side, they look all pretty closed up, except maybe that one on the bottom. This one, a couple reeds showing light through, but I'll use a feeler gauge on these and see. Maybe we can salvage something from this. Okay, the reeds here, they're closest to the camera, had come out of the power head. The ones in the back here were from eBay. So those I've got to go back. eBay's, those are just mostly our junk. But I think, these might have some hope. I mean, these are also, this one here has got out of spec reeds, but they might be able to be cleaned. Because I noticed on this reed here, I scraped off some of the crap behind it, and it closed up again. Because it was also like the other side where I could put the feeler gauge in. So I've got some good reeds here. That one's a little off. Okay, but if I clean them, they might work, because these are okay. Those are closed up good. Those seem okay. Those seem okay. I got one there that might need just a good cleaning in there to close that up better. See, it just closed, well, hard to say, but they seem to be closing better. Okay, I'm gonna call these reeds good. For the most part, I'm gonna try and clean this reed plate, the backer plate up. Maybe take this apart and clean that really good, because there's something on these reeds that it's like a crustacean of some sort, and maybe that's what's causing these to be opened up and not sealing properly. So some of these might be okay. It's just that they just need to be cleaned up. Okay, so we'll try it again. Okay, I just wanted to check a quick compression check on here, just to verify what the seller told us. He said about 80 to 90 pounds, so we'll see what happens.
wasn't kidding. I'm getting about, on my gauge, about 110. Yeah, about 110 on that, on cylinder number 1. Okay, this is going to be cylinder number 3. Yeah, about 110. Wow, that's dead on. Okay, this is going to be cylinder number 2. Try it again. Yeah. What do we got? 100, 105? 105. Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, 105. And he was saying between 80 and 90. 80 and 90. Wow. Well, my gauge might be a little high, maybe, but but that's still a better number. I like it. Well, what do we have? 105, maybe between 105 and 110. So we could probably say 110. About 110, 108, something like that. So yeah, that's pretty good. And we got a good working starter, so it cranks it over pretty well. Anyway, that was good to know. It's good information. That power head seems healthy. So if we do need to use it, we can swap it out. Okay, with the new read thing from the other power head, which is over there, seems like she's running a lot smoother. Got the carburetor fully open. It's warmed up. Definitely warming up. Not too hot though, but I got the new distributor on from the old power head. It's running much smoother than she did before. Into forward gear. I don't know if she'll stall or not. We'll see. It seems to be a little bit slower than it was before. It was very, very fast. She's running pretty good now. For this vintage, now if they're not happy with that, we can always put this other power head on. This had better compression. So maybe we can switch it out if they're not happy with the way this is running, and so we can have a better motor. But we're back in neutral. Running pretty smooth. I think those reads did help. I think the distributor and the new distributor helped as well.
can start running this thing the way it should be run, it'll start moving out. I think right now it's as good as I can make it. Okay, folks, just to give you a little recap on what I did here. Basically, what I did is I replaced the distributor because the shaft in the distributor was stripped. The Woodruff key had sheared, and if you look here, you can see it. If I can get it focused, you can see how it sheared in there, and I think that threw the timing off, and that was creating the miss. So we replaced it with the distributor from the other power head that's sitting over there, and also went through the carburetor, cleaned it, went through the fuel pump, put a new diaphragm in it, cleaned it all out real good. I removed the flywheel just to make sure that the seal on top of the crankshaft was not leaking. We inspected the pistons through these inspection ports on both sides. There was some slight scoring on the starboard side, but it wasn't drastic. We had 80 pounds in all 4 cylinders of compression. So the engine seems overall pretty healthy. I mean, it had some bumps in it, but I think it was all because of timing and maybe carburation. So, and it also didn't even have the right spark. It had three of the same spark plugs and then one different one. One was an NGK, I think. Had Craftsman in the other ones, but they weren't the right plugs, for this engine. So once I went through all of this, I think we finally got it. So hopefully they can take it out in the lake and take a look at it. The only thing they are having is an exhaust leak at the bottom. So it might be that seal that goes underneath. And I can show you that seal from here on this power head. There's a seal here that is spring loaded, and it might be leaking a little bit, or it could be just the gasket on the bottom of the power head. So if they want to have that fixed, I'm thinking next season, maybe April or so, I can bring it back and I'll pull the power head if they want to even swap out the power heads, because that power head's definitely got better compression. That had anywhere from 105, I believe, to 110 or somewhere in there. Much better compression than this one. This was only around 80. So if they want to switch out the power heads, we can do that, and this boat probably would run really well. And it may run perfectly, on the lake at full wide open throttle and even at idle. Still maybe a little rough at idle, but it's better than it was. I think it's much smoother than it used to be. So I think this is a win. So I'm going to contact the owner, and I'm going to let them know that maybe there's a day tomorrow they can even take it out in the lake and give it a try. It's only going to be 50 degrees, but wear winter coats. So anyway, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.